After so many years making games, I have been able to compile a variation of ways to improve my workflow when making games, and you can learn all of them in this course. Don't judge a course by its length. Even though the course is short, after watching all of the lessons, you will make games way faster. Remember, it's about saving time. But wait, why would you like to make games faster in the first place? I can imagine multiple reasons for that, and here are some of them. You can spend more time on game design. You will have more time for ideation and polish. You can spend more time with your family and friends or do other things you enjoy in life. Maybe you are a freelancer. You can charge more per hour as you will accomplish more in less time. Or if you see it from another angle, you will provide the same results in less time. So you need to be paid more. You will also be able to save time for your clients, which is the most crucial resource. If you work for a studio, you can get promoted to a higher position, experiment more, test more gameplays and mechanics. If you are a solo indie game dev, you will have more time for other aspects of game dev, such as improving your art skills, mastering sound design, be better at marketing and building an audience. Overall, speed when making games is really important. If you think this is for you, feel free to start the course today. If you like the content, enroll in the course on Udemy. I do link the project files there, link in the description. Code snippets are small, reusable pieces of code that can be inserted into a project to save time and effort. They can be integrated into an IDE, like Visual Studio, or created as custom snippets. They will allow you to quickly access commonly used code. Snippets can range from simple tasks like printing a line of text to more complex tasks like implementing a sorting algorithm. Let's first have a look at the integrated snippets. For reference, I'm using Visual Studio 2019. The most common snippet that I use, and that you will too if you don't already do, is the for loop snippet. To use it, you simply need to write for and press tab twice. You can then edit the index or the variable used in the loop by directly typing the name you want it to have. After you're done editing the variable name, you can press enter to enter the loop or press tab to edit the name of the conditional value. This also works for the for each loop, the if statement, the while loop, the do while loop, the switch statement, and many others. Code snippets can be used to standardize code across a team or organization, as well as to improve productivity and reduce errors. They can also be shared with others, making it easier to collaborate on projects. In addition, code snippets can be customized and tailored to specific needs, allowing you to work more efficiently and effectively. This is why I decided to show you in the next lesson how you can create your own custom code snippets to boost your productivity. In the previous lesson, we saw how integrated code snippets could improve your coding speed. In this one, we will go one step further and learn how to create our own custom snippets. This is the real game changer. First, let's open the Code Snippets interface. For that, select Tools, Code Snippets Manager from the menu bar, or press Ctrl-K followed by Ctrl-B. From there, you can select the language, C# in our case, and notice all of the integrated snippets we've used in the previous lesson. To create our custom snippet, we are first going to create a folder. In my case, I'm simply going to create that folder in My Documents. Then, we are going to copy the location of one of the integrated snippets, open the File Explorer, and paste this location. Don't press Enter yet, otherwise it will open the file. Remove the file name from the address and press Enter. This is where all of the integrated code snippets are stored. After that, copy the for snippet and paste it in your snippets folder. No need to edit it for now. Let's jump back to Visual Studio and add our folder to the snippets folders. You can notice that our for snippet has been added to the list. To make sure that our snippet is usable, close the Code Snippets Manager and try to use the snippet. We now have two possible snippets for the for keyword. Perfect. Now that our snippet can be used, let's edit it and create something useful. If you've ever taken one of my courses, you may have noticed that I mainly use two snippets, one for the header attribute and another one to instantiate the singletons. Let's learn how we can create the header snippet. For that, we are first going to rename our custom snippet header.snippet. Let's now open it. Snippets are written in the XML format, which stands for Extensible Markup Language. This is a readable language designed to store and transport data. The first important part of the snippet is the header. It contains information such as the title, the shortcut of your snippet, the description, and more. Let's first change the title. We will write header. The shortcut for our header can be anything we want. I'm going to write the letter H twice. For the description, I'm going to write code snippet for a header attribute. The author is myself, of course, and no need to overcomplicate things, so I'm going to delete the snippet type's value. Perfect. This is it for our header. Now let's tackle the most important part, the snippet value. We will start with the code section, which contains our code snippet. The first thing to declare is the language. We use C# and seems like it's already set up correctly. Perfect. After that, we will clear anything between the CData brackets to implement our custom code. The CData section is used to mark a section of an XML document so that the XML parser interprets it only as character data and not as markup. This is perfect in our case as some characters do not need to be changed. Let's write header. Now, if we try and write our shortcut HH in any script, we can spot our snippet shortcut. Let's press Tab twice and voila! You've made your first code snippet. Let's now go one step further. You can set the name of your header manually, but we are here to save time, aren't we? So let's open our header snippet again. Between the double quotes is where we want to put our header value, so let's create a literal for that. We are going to write $value $. Perfect. Notice how it was also used for the for snippet. We should now edit the declarations. This is where you set up your references. Let's first remove the max literal and focus on the first one. The literal is composed of three main values. The ID, this is the value you've specified in the code between the dollars, the default value, and the tooltip, which will help anyone using this snippet know what this value refers to. Let's change the ID to value, the default name to name, and the tooltip to the name of the header. Now if we go back to our test class, let's try and use our snippet. As soon as you hit Tab, you can notice that the name gets highlighted. It means that you can edit it right away. Here we go. You now know how to create your own custom snippets. If you frequently reuse a piece of code, consider taking a few minutes to create a snippet for it. This will save you time and effort in the long run and make your coding more efficient. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Another way you can save time when coding games is by using one or multiple utility classes. Utility classes provide another way to reuse code that is used multiple times. Let's forget about utility classes for a moment and consider this example. Let's say we have a sphere and we want to change its color every time the user clicks the mouse. What we could do is create a color changer script, attach it to the sphere, and implement it with these lines of code. If we give it a try, it's working really well. This is pretty straightforward as the game is quite simple right now. Now imagine if the sphere was part of a much bigger game and that we want to change the color only if some conditions are met. Our color changer script is not relevant anymore. You would have to either change its logic to take the conditions into consideration or implement the color changing logic inside of another script. This method is not very versatile. Let's now consider adding a new intermediary class. We will call it color utility. Let's open it. Your color utility class will not be like any other class. We will add the static keyword after the public keyword. The static keyword here means that our class cannot be instantiated. In other words, you cannot attach it to a game object in your hierarchy. We also need to remove the inheritance from the monobehavior class and clean it a bit. Here we go. We now have a clean slate to work on. This is your first utility class. Congratulations! It doesn't do anything at the moment though, so let's give it a bit more functionality. We are going to create a new method, which also needs to be static, and call it setRandomColor. The method should take a game object as an argument. Let's implement the method like this. If the object we want to change the color of has a component of type renderer, then we randomize its color. Now, in our color changer script, or anywhere else, we can call this method like so. If we give it a try, we can notice that it's working as expected. Awesome! What's cool about this method is that you can now grab your color utility class and use it in any of your next projects. Another, maybe more useful way of using utility classes is to use them for canvas groups. When dealing with the UI, you sometimes need to enable or disable canvas group components. You can now create a UI utility class, implement a method to do just that, and use it in any of your games. No need to rewrite it every time. On a side note, you could also create a snippet for that. Just saying. Extension methods are, in my opinion, an improved way of using utility classes. Let me explain. Compared to the utility classes, extension methods are tightly coupled with Unity components. As their name implies, you use them to extend the capability of an already existing component. Let's take our previous example, the color changing sphere. Instead of using a utility class like we've done, we are going to create an extension method. First off, let's create a new script for it. We will call it GameObjectExtensions. Similarly to our utility classes, we will turn the GameObjectExtensions class into a static class, like this. Then we will create a static method called setRandomColor, the same name we've used inside of our color utility class. The main difference here is that the argument will be preceded by the this keyword. The this keyword, in this case, refers to the game object that will make use of the extension method. All of the remaining code will be exactly the same as the one we've used inside of our color utility class. Now, to use this extension method, we are going to open our color changer script again, remove the previous line, and type GameObject.setRandomColor, and voila! You can already notice how powerful extension methods are. We've used a simple example here, but some common use cases you might encounter is when you want to clear or destroy all of the children of a certain game object. Here is an example of an extension method that does just that. And here is how you can use it. Don't jump in this rabbit hole yet. Make games first, see what logic you use a lot, and then make an extension method for that. Now that you know the importance of having a code library, you can already imagine how important it is to also have a graphics library. I'm not talking about assets you can grab from the asset store or somewhere else. We will tackle this in an upcoming lesson. Here, I'm talking about assets you've made with your own artistic skills. These can be 3D models, textures, characters, sprites, UI elements, or anything that can be considered a graphic element. How do you make such graphics library? And how can you package it? A very simple way of building your very own graphics library is to first make a game. Once you're done with your game, or even during its development, you can start thinking about which sprites, textures, objects you might reuse in your next game. Once you have this sorted out, you can select the assets you've picked, right-click, and select Export Package. This will help you export the assets and smoothly import them next time you want to use them. you could also create an archive from these same files, but exporting them as a package is much more efficient. Why? Because let's say you have sliced sprites, or you have configured your 3D models in a certain way. By exporting your assets as a Unity package, they keep this information inside of the meta file. Overall, the graphics library is an efficient way of building your own style as you go. If you like these tips so far, please consider leaving a review. It helps a lot. Thank you so much. Okay, so far we've covered the code library and the graphics library. What if I tell you that you can save way more time by combining them? Yup, now that you have these two powerful libraries, you can create reusable assets or systems and save a bunch more time. Here is an example of how you can do just that. In my hyper-casual shooting course, we've learned how to set up ragdolls, right? So now, imagine that you want to make another game that also contains ragdolls. Are you going to go over the same steps again? Find a character, right-click and set up the ragdoll, create a script to lock its physics until it's hit? The goal when making games is not to make the same things over and over again, right? We are not here to reinvent the wheel. It is to unleash your creativity and explore new mechanics and systems. So what you would do in that case is grab the character, the script responsible for turning it into a ragdoll, and turn them into a package. Now, when you create your next game and you need a ragdoll, you can simply double-click your package and start using your ragdoll right away. This is just an example, but you can also imagine applying the same logic for a joystick-controlled character. Let's take the control of the character in my farming course. I can grab the character, the logic for the movement, turn them into a package, and simply import all of these in my next game. This is such a powerful way of saving time. Whenever you complete a game or find that you can package a system you've just made, make sure to do so. This is one of my favorite topics here, extending the Unity editor. This is such a powerful way Unity gave us to enhance our workflow making games that you must use it. Unity is already an amazing tool. It has clean ways of visualizing data, nice windows that you can drag and drop wherever you want, and much more. But they know how everyone has its own workflow, its own preferences, and its own little habits or ways of doing. So they gave us the possibility to add more function to the game engine. Let's have a newer look at our coloring example, the one we've used when learning about utility classes and extension methods. I'm now going to show you the exact same thing, but in a different way. We are going to create a way to set a random color for every selected game object in the hierarchy. How cool is that? Let's first create a script and call it Menu Color Randomizer. Let's open it. We can remove the start and update method as we won't use them. We will need the Unity Editor class, and the script will only be active or used inside of the game engine. So let's add the appropriate preprocessor directive. Let's now create our method. For that, we will add the menu item attribute, which will help us add an item to the main menu. Let's call our menu tools and call the method colorize. Now that our attribute is set up, we will create the actual colorize method. Make sure to add the static keyword, otherwise the method won't appear in your menu. Right away, if we jump back to Unity, we can spot our tools menu that contains our colorize method. How awesome is that? Now, let's add a bit more logic to our method. To make things simple, we will loop through all of the selected game objects and change the color of each one of them. Let's now go back to Unity, select the objects we want to colorize, then select Tools, Colorize, and voila! You now know how to extend the Unity editor to a certain extent. This method was pretty simple and not very useful. But if you like organizing your hierarchy like I do, here is a quite useful menu item. Let's test it. We instantly have all of our categories. Here is another one if you want to reload your current scene without having to exit or re-enter the play mode. These were just 3 very simple examples of how you can extend the Unity editor to save time. So now you can experiment and create your very own menu items. If you're like me, you are a developer, and developers are not well known for their artistic skills. So, to fix this, multiple solutions come to my mind. You could hire a freelance artist, grab some images from Google, and edit them to make them fit your style, or simply purchase already made assets. This last one is the best one for someone who is not into graphics. For me, the main marketplace you should use is obviously the asset store. The assets are meticulously reviewed by Unity, which ensures great quality. You can find any style you want, so you'll definitely find something that matches your game style. Moreover, if you pick assets from the same publisher, you'll keep a consistent art style throughout your game. I know for a fact that Cinti Studios makes amazing assets with a consistent art style at a decent price. And if you're making mobile games like I do, these are perfect as they are low poly, which means they contain a small amount of triangles, perfect for performance. And if you can't even draw a circle, you also have a bunch of UI elements you can choose from. As you can notice, I'm a lot into hyper, hybrid, and casual games in general. So I have grabbed the GUI Pro Kit, which contains a ton of icons, containers, and amazing graphical elements. So yeah, make sure to have a look at all of the available assets, and the next time you want to make a game, save time by grabbing a pack you like. If you're an indie game developer, at a certain point, you will have a game idea. But this idea requires you to know how to code specific mechanics, right? Let's say you want the main character to swing on a rope between two cliffs. You know how to code the jump mechanic, but have no idea on how to make a rope swing. Well, the asset store can also provide you with this. Apart from graphical elements, you will find so many tools and systems that will drastically speed up your game dev time. Having to write the whole system takes so much time, so if you can pay 15 or 20 bucks and save 2 to 5 days of work, well, you'll buy without hesitation. But at the end of the day, it will always be a comparison between how much the asset costs and how much time you can save. Many assets are worth mentioning, like Final IK, allowing you to implement inverse kinematics with ease, or Feel, letting you add juice to your game in no time. Odin Inspector is basically extending the Unity editor for you. DoTween, LeanTween, or any tweening library will smooth out your animations and effects, and there is so much more. So next time you start a game, write down which features it will have, and check if there isn't already an asset that can help you speed up your development time. Of course, I could not have made a course on how to make games faster and boost your productivity without mentioning ChatGPT. The point is not to overuse it. All of the different ways to speed up your development we've seen are way more powerful in my opinion, because they do fit your coding style way more. But nevertheless, don't forget to use the power of AI to prevent being left behind. ChatGPT can help you debug your code, write algorithms for specific use cases you might have, and help you better grasp some concepts. You should already be aware of that, but for the sake of this course, let's analyze the situation. Let's say you're making a game like Archero, where the player automatically aims at the closest enemy. You have no clue how to find the closest enemy. Let's ask ChatGPT. In less than a minute, he gives you an algorithm that does just that. Of course, be sure to always test the answer it gives you, because sometimes it's not exactly what you expect. One tip I can give you is that when you get the answer from ChatGPT and feel it's doing its job, add it to your utility class. Or better, turn it into an extension. Now that you know how to become a code ninja, you can test your skills on my free Idle Clicker course, available on Udemy. I'll leave a link in the description. If it's not free anymore, check out my website, tapsil.com. Have an amazing game dev journey. Cheers!